I want to make this video to address some of the questions that people have about Social Work 300. Hopefully this video will answer your questions. So the question I seem to be getting the most is whether or not someone is doing the right thing. So let's just sort of go through the course together and see what are the right things. I hope you can see that. All right. So here's what the class should look like for you, Human Behavior in the Social Environment. And if you scroll, you will see course info, discussions, and assignments. So it's under course info that you will find the syllabus. So you click on the link for syllabus. And there's also some other course material, including the Dictionary of Social Work. So I want to draw your attention to that. That's down here. Okay, so that's under course info. And then if you go to discussions, you will see the discussions, all the discussions that we've had so far, which is only 2, but they're both there. Each learning unit has its own section under contents. So learning unit 1 had an assignment that was a paper about your BSW influences. And to get more information about what's in this learning unit, click on read more. So there wasn't a lot for the first learning unit. That was our introduction week. But now we're in learning unit 2. And I titled the learning unit filters because I'm trying to make the point that there are a variety of things that influence how we see human behavior. And the podcast and reading that you're doing relate to that directly. So let's just look at learning unit 2. Learning unit 2, filters, and then you want to click on read more. And then what it does is it has an overview. So the purpose of this learning unit is to explore filters that we use to understand and discuss human behavior. In addition, we will look at factors that shape human experience and behavior. And then there are reading and listening assignments. These are things that are required for you to do during this learning unit. And they include a podcast about assessment. And I say, as you listen to this, consider all the different dimensions that one considers when evaluating human behavior. And then there's a podcast about theory, because theory is like a pair of glasses that we wear, and it helps us to make sense of human behavior. So for instance, if you believe that behavioral theory is the best explanation to use in understanding human behavior, you'll be looking at reinforcements and punishments. And if you believe in more of a cognitive theory, that cognitive theory is a better explanation for human behavior, you'll be looking at how people think and thinking errors and things like that. So theory shapes how we understand human behavior. So there's a podcast about that. Then there's a podcast about prisons in Norway, which I thought was super interesting. And the reason I included that is because I would like you to consider how policy shapes our experience. And so the prison in Norway is very different than the prison in the United States. Why? Different policies, different values. And that absolutely shapes human behavior. Policy does. And then I asked you to read the Code of Ethics and think about the values and mission of a profession and how those values and missions shape our understanding of human behavior. So those are reading and listening assignments. They are due during this learning unit. You have to do them. And then there's something, just assignment. And it says, please complete this assignment. It's due no later than September 25th. So that's number 1. And the assignment is to prepare a summary of 2 developmental theories. And the reason for that is developmental theory or development absolutely shapes how we understand human behavior. So if I tell you right now that there's somebody out in the middle of campus running around screaming, waving his arms, crying, sobbing, and rolling around on the ground, that's going to be a problem if that person is 20. But if I tell you the person is 4, well, then that's normal behavior. So understanding what is normal for a certain age group is really important. And that's why you're preparing those summaries based on Piaget and Erikson. So somebody asked me, well, where do I get this information? These are independent research. That's independent research. So you should use the Mansfield Library or the library on your to your campus, or whatever professional resources you can find to prepare for yourself a summary of those two theories. So hopefully that's pretty clear. There's going to be independent work on during every learning unit. And then the other thing is to participate in the learning unit forum. And in this forum, the assignment has to do with identifying a fact about gender or race or ethnicity that has implications for social work practice. And I ask you to include the source of the fact. So the reason that we're including gender, race, ethnicity is because those are things that shape our experiences as human beings and help dictate what we consider appropriate behavior or inappropriate behavior or just behavior. So understanding race, ethnicity, gender is a way to understand human behavior in the social environment. And since that's what we're looking at in our course, and during this learning unit, we're particularly looking at influences to our understanding of human behavior, this seems like an important thing to do. So what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to post. You're supposed to read other students' posts and post on a few of them. So what do you think about what someone posted? Do you have a question? Do you have something to add about that? I want to caution you against including too much personal experience because that's separate from our professional roles. So use this as a way to look at things critically and objectively and not necessarily apply it to your own experience or someone you know, but rather think in terms of a professional. What is the implication for a social worker? Not necessarily how does this apply to your personal life. So hopefully that's pretty clear. So you want to read them, comment on them, and that's just a way to help us all understand more about race, gender, and ethnicity as a filter for understanding human behavior. So with that, I welcome your questions. Please note that I likely will not respond over weekends, but I will respond on Monday morning if you send me a question over the weekend. And I am happy to answer your questions. So feel free to send me an email. If I don't write you back within a day during the week, please resend your email because I get a lot and they get lost. So I'm not at all insulted if you say, hey, I sent this 2 days ago, I haven't heard anything yet. Okay, so hopefully that clarifies questions. And I know the learning curve on all this is very steep and it's stressful, but just hang in there. It'll get easier. All right, have a great week.